Gonna bug me.
You look cute.
You like me.
You look like a poet.
So, I'm gonna do something that's kind of hard for me, and you can say like, "Oh, it doesn't seem like it's very hard for you." It's not supposed to be hard for me. I feed off of sharing my work. I like audience. I do. But I was also shamed a lot for that growing up, especially. And when I came out as trans, I feel that, yeah. And I think people get the wrong idea about when I share my work. They do this simultaneous weird thing where they over-identify with it in a way, as if I'm making you go through it, basically reading about my own feelings. Well, and at the same time, there's a dismissiveness of it. It's too much. It's too pretty. It's too tragic. It's too this. It's too that. So take from it what you want. And but I wanted to try and share because I'm supposed to. That's the amplification part of this. Is I think when I felt really treated like my needs were superfluous and even bad. And then I also felt unsafe and I felt betrayed, all these things all at once. Just sort of like shut me down as a person and as a writer. And I chose life because because I chose life. I chose life. And that meant like kind of walking away from my art a little bit in this really terrible way. But it's also like what I have to offer. So there you go. Here's something I wrote a while ago. So I'm just sharing some old stuff here just to give you an idea. As one of the points here is to remember that we all have abundance to offer and grace to offer each other. And it's going to be different for each of us. This is part of what I have to offer. It's a huge part of what I have to offer. I think I have more to offer than this. But I keep seeing no from the church. So I'm going to go back to just leaning into this. It's not tragic. I need help getting the word out, and I need to be surrounded by people who aren't going to pathologize me for my art. Because it has more to offer than just, oh, what a pretty, nice, neat little moment or thing. That's not what it's about. That's not what it's for. I don't want you to listen to my work and feel sorry for me. If you're doing that, you've already missed the point entirely. Like, absolutely, completely, full stop. It is not helpful to over-identify me with my writing, even though, yes, it's almost always also about me. Like, life's complicated, I guess. I don't know what to tell you, but if you know me IRL and you're one of the people who has gotten close to me, I think that makes more sense than it does to people who see it from the outside and tend to see me as a creature of pity, actually, often. So, alrighty then. Portland homepage, temporary. We make them every day, go to them every day. But what is a home page? A home on a page with a home drawn upon it, the abstract representation of here in erasure, the quotation of the communication of our home in the absence of context. Here is my place. Will you see it without me? Will it really be there without me? Will it mean the same thing, a place owned upon which to claim another day? In this blank space my father writes to ask if I have found what I have been looking for here. When you are born walking the sides of the freeways and camping by rivers where you own only what you can carry and leave lost things with other children or their dogs, you cannot find here place. There is only space through which you move, a means of getting from some other's place to another, someone else's place. Even the expansions and contractions of your body, a geographical happenstance, no constancy. There is no home or hearth, but the next step for shelter, shelter from the movement, a chance to take a breadth of your situation. There is no here, only there, over there. Over here? No. It will be better once I leave again. Always the going, never the being. Here, always in erasure. I lost a singular context and replaced it in a sad, warbling chaos. I have these snapshots stuck only in those moments of temporary, temporal place, displaced as normative space, which is to say only that I have been allowed to move when the bridges burn beneath my feet, and I only miss the next place I have been before but never lived. Often stuck instead in a temporal snapshot, followed by snapshot, this odd, quirky place. Have you been there? Have you located place in a corner pub in the bickering conversation between old straight southern computer scientists and their young lesbian English student friends? They debate football. One thing I wonder is where I learned this kind of love as a sacrifice against the ability in the moment of stillness. My father knows I love her and tolerates it. My father knows I love my child and chides me for it. I cannot tell him other things and keep the place of our momentary structured comment in a holding pattern. The space would crush us both. My lungs know a different set of prerogatives, that love is not pie, divided under lengths and segmentations. I left my heart in a South Sacramento backyard just before the Logan Gang Street struck, under the pomegranate bush. I left my heart in the dead field of a defunct peanut farm or the abandoned half-built single-engine airplane my grandfather started building in the craft room of the house the IRS took from him for dealing pot. I left my heart in the hands of a stupid boy who walked weird on long legs and then stole our child, amongst other indignities. I left my heart in Atlanta under a storm and bullets ringing in the great founding of a great country besides a large carved rock on the gods of a kind of freedom, also segmentationed and pied out. I left my heart in the chest of a dying woman who hates the place I stole from her in my birth and the birth of her pastel-colored paintings of fairy tale flowers. I left my heart in the hands of a girl too young and hungry not to eat it whole-mouthed and happily, in the hands of a woman willing to give until she will be whole of wholeness in the shadow of me if I let her, in the hands of a sad boy who dreams of us as Jake and Finn, only burning down coal mines in the mountains and spitting bourbon at trees. I left my heart someplace I can never return. Yay, fun. So let's get to the other one. Do this right here. That's old. That was written before it came out. About a year, almost. About a year before it came out. There's something a little newer that I've been working on. Some of you may know of some of the poems I've shared about, like, not Adam, I am not Adam, and then I do a little wordplay with that. But it actually comes from this, which is I actually consider to be technically a separate project. This was me as I had come out. Within not even a year of me coming out and beginning transition. I am not your whale, cage for the sea. I am not the natality of your ontological angst. I have known the contours of felonious contortions in confinement, the normalcy of that always uncanny shadow limb of the outstretched hand to nowhere, the nerve damage of stasis, the modality of misunderstanding ideology for meaning and a warbling distortion language of false essentialisms. I am not Pinocchio. Love is not the lie between us. My visage is more pliable besides. I learned long ago that building fires in guts gets you lit but makes you blind to the edges, only after I'd burned the wood out of me and coughed my own black shadow back into the world. Forgot my name in the searing confirmation of mistaking my disease for my body, illness for being, suffering as punishment. I was a real boy before I ever stopped wishing to sad pixies. Not Abram. When told to sacrifice my child to a geometry of language, I failed to bring the knife. Red herring, I bargained with God on the innuendo of metadata as ethical sublimation. What is the use value of the alienation of goodness as opposed to the rude host? I would have thanked God and felt silence for the melting of Sodom, so I only act like I was there. Nor Moses, for I saw a burning bush and smoked a serpent with the tip of my stick and sang to the stars. Never ask a grounded astronaut to interpret constellations or directions or prophecy. Too fine a navigator, I care about the topology of wholes, not wholeness. Like Lacan, I fail to be written merely to be understood. Those commandments, interpretations of geography, I aim to free your commons. I, Jonah, marathoner of cowardice, races through avoidance, our shared fatalism. I could not command my indigestion, unable to interpret my dreams, mesmerized by the weight of Mnemosyne as I fled God through irritable bowels, got caught in a storm on a ship with the sailors of capitalist deisms and declared me mercenary through the apparent atheism of class consciousness. They cast me too, but I knew already how to make a home and a fish as easily as eat it. Not Odysseus, then, either. I have not borne heroics and deception, fetish for a feminine secret self worn as badge of honor and lobbing sailors into the mouths of false muses. I've rejected politeness as ethics and have not taken of your cup while denying my love for Penelope. Would that I could bask in the daughter of the sun and salty sea mist. I imagine eating you by osmosis, inverse conception. I pause to claim Caeneus. A thing made is always born. I, Homo saucer, stand in, sacrifice the part made whole. I am the ultimate rejection of castration, the denial of other penetration, sucked into the womb of earth, reborn in flight. Rock you cannot enter, bird you cannot hold. Brother Achilles was weakest in his fleet-footed momentum. I am weakest in the hardness of feathered bones. Not the white rabbit, for I have read Faulkner and know the value in a clock is in how it fails. I dissect pocket watches, never put them back together again. A serial killer of mechanical moments, I test my theories on how to save time from derivation in the breakdown of steel and crystal as worry stones. Not the Mad Hatter. I map tentacles of hearts, neurons of limbic faith, the blue blood of exclusion. I don't snip circumcisions of small, mean infinities on the tops of men's heads. I appear to be playing musical chairs only because the music won't stop, and I don't understand mice or men. Perhaps a Cheshire. I measured myself against the world in the tendrils of the whiskers, from the flaps in the smile of my speech. You can say I've lost my head all you like, but you have got it backwards again. You declare castrations and the outlines of mountains and then pretend I am the one misreading maps. Not the scarecrow. I stuffed most of my guts into the holes in my head and shat poems for breadcrumbs as I walked with the crows. My brain has left me prone to indigestion, my head pricked and aching. Not the cowardly lion. Fear is the cost of courage, and anxiety is less fear than the queasiness of inertia to the motions of emotion. Anyway, I know reason alone won't save you, and strength is a theory of relativity. Certainly not the Tin Man. My heart is quantum entangled, and the leaps of its rhythm, pulled by action at a distance, cannot be halted by the rot of iron and air and melodrama. These rhythms, these voices of coding, have always been telling me ways in which I must adjust and cut this body, all the right angels of the angles of my loyalties, apparatuses of loss. I may have gifted my head to your Queen of Hearts, but I can feel my beating chest all the same. Not the devil, you tempt yourself. The supposed fallacies of the fallousness of my intentions are only excesses of your own desire. I didn't lie. You wouldn't die. Anyway, I wasn't offering you the apple so much as pointing out the bite you'd taken. Showed you seeds for sowing an orchard, but you still accept the doctrine of shame, forgot the addendum on forgiveness. You abject my slither, water-bearer, mutilated naga, clipped-winged serpent of storms, disappeared in feminine folds, a mulching awaited. But my masculinity is not founded in the fantasy of enraged fear at my own negation. I do not define myself on the contours of your body, but in the absence of my absence and the insistence of your existence. I, subject to your objections, the phenomenon of we. I speak of the ontology of love, and you cry scarcity. I sing prophecy, and you declare it curse. I write prayers, and you cry blindness. Sorry about the fan turning on at the end there. Drake's gonna end this, though.